kejadian di waktu-waktu terakhir.
SAHIH storms back to win his first Olympic medal. Meta apologizes for removing Hamas content on Datuk Sri Anwar's account. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today. I'm Sahih Samshuddin. Malaysia are now the proud owners of 2 bronze medals at the 2024 Paris Olympics. National men's single professional shuttler SAHIH delivered the latest bronze when he bounced back from a game down to outlast India's Lakshya Sen 13-21, 21-16, 21-11 in an energy-sapping 71-minute third-placing playoff at the Port de la Chapelle Arena. Following his victory, SAHIH vowed to continue his Olympic gold quest at Los Angeles 2028. SAHIH, who arrived in Paris dreaming of gold after a good run in the recent World Tour tournaments, described his bronze medal finish as a good start to his Olympic journey.
Satu result yang sangat bagus bagi karier saya dan bagi saya personal is a good breakthrough lah bagi saya. Dalam karier saya pun tak ada result yang sangat bagus, especially in Olympics. So tetap saya akan berusaha lagi lah.
He also expressed his gratitude to all Malaysian fans for their continuous support.
I would like to say thank you to myself and also rakyat Malaysia for always supporting me. No matter what happened, and I will keep focused and keep going in future. Yes.
More stories on the Olympics in our sports segment later. Meta platforms have apologized for the removal of content from Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim's Facebook and Instagram accounts related to the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh last week. Malaysia had asked Meta for an explanation after the posts expressing condolences over Ismail Haniyeh's death were removed. A Meta spokesperson said the company apologized for an operational error where content from the Prime Minister's Facebook and Instagram pages were removed, and the content had since been restored with the correct newsworthy label. Communication Minister and officials from the Prime Minister's office had met Meta representative yesterday to seek an explanation. The Prime Minister's office said in a statement yesterday that it viewed Meta's action as discriminatory, unjust and a blatant suppression of free expression. Diplomatic pressure mounted to avert an escalation between Iran and Israel following high-profile killings that have sent regional tensions soaring. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that his country was determined to stand against Iran and its allied groups on all fronts. As it wars against Hamas in Gaza nears the 11th month, Israel has been bracing for retaliation from the Tehran-aligned axis of resistance for the killing of 2 senior figures. Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in Tehran last Wednesday in an attack blamed on Israel. The killing came hours after an Israeli strike on Beirut killed the military chief of Lebanon's Hezbollah group, Fuad Shukr. Tehran said no one has the right to doubt Iran's legal right to punish the Zionist regime for Ismail Haniyeh's killing. The United Nations Right Chief Volker Turk called on all parties along with those states with influence to act urgently to de-escalate what has become a very precarious situation.
Already, over the past 10 months, civilians, mostly women and children, have endured unbearable pain and suffering as a result of the bombs and the guns. Everything, and that means everything, must be done to avoid this situation spiralling further into an abyss that will only have more terrible consequences for civilians.
On a related note, United States President Joe Biden returned to the White House as the U.S. is deploying additional military might in West Asia. A White House official said the decision was made as a defensive measure with a goal of de-escalating tensions in the region. Regional tensions have increased following the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of the Palestinian group Hamas, in Tehran a day after an Israeli strike in Beirut killed Fuad Shukur, a senior military commander from the Lebanese group Hezbollah. Both groups are backed by Iran. There are mounting fears that Israel's war against Palestinians in Gaza could escalate into a wider West Asia conflict. Iran and Hamas have blamed Israel for Ismail Haniyeh's killing in the Iranian capital, and they, together with Hezbollah, have vowed revenge. Israel has not claimed or denied responsibility. The White House said Biden convened his national security team in the Situation Room to discuss developments in the West Asia, adding that he also spoke with Jordan's King Abdullah as well. Iranian Major General of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Mohammad Bagheri hosted Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu in Tehran, Iran, discussing potential cooperation on regional issues. His visit was prompted by an invitation from Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Iran's foreign ministry called in ambassadors and heads of missions residing in Tehran for a meeting with acting foreign minister Ali Bagheri Khani to reiterate Iran's will to respond to Israel. The United States did not know the exact reason for Shoigu's trip, but said one possibility might have been to further Moscow's relationship with Tehran to seek support for its invasion of Ukraine. Shoigu also met with Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, who said Russia is among the countries that have stood by the Iranian nation during difficult times. The president said that shared positions between Iran and Russia in promoting a multipolar world would certainly lead to greater global security and peace. Russia has condemned the killing of Ismail Haniyeh last week and called on all parties to refrain from steps that could tip the West Asia into a wider regional war. Meanwhile, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan held talks with his Egyptian counterpart, Bar Abdelati, at Tahrir Palace in Cairo during the second day of his visit to Egypt. At a joint press conference, Fidan announced that Turkey will formally submit its declaration of intervention in South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice (ICJ) in The Hague tomorrow.
Gazze'deki vahşet, uluslararası düzenin aziyetini tüm çıplaklığıyla gözler önüne sermiştir. İsrail'i kayıtsız şartsız destekleyenler, uluslararası düzenin temellerinin sarsılmasının baş sorumlusudurlar. Ukrayna'da işgali suç sayanlar, İsrail işgalciliği karşısında üç maymunu oynuyorlar.
The talks focus on enhancing bilateral relations, coordinating efforts in Gaza, and preventing further regional escalation. They reiterated their shared goal of ending the conflict and achieving peace through a two-state solution. Turkey had previously announced in May its decision to join the case initiated by South Africa as it stepped up measures against Israel over its assault on Gaza, and that it would submit a bid after the necessary legal preparations. Still ahead, Tropical Storm Debbie hits Florida with floods. Tropical Storm Debbie drenched northern Florida is plotted towards Georgia and the Carolinas. Forecasters expect the downgraded hurricane to bring a week of torrential downpours and catastrophic flooding. The deserted town of Suwannee, a small fishing village near the Gulf of Mexico, was buried underwater and neighborhood streets turned into rivers as Debbie dropped buckets of rain on the Gulf Coast. The storm had lost some of its wind speed after slamming the state as a Category 1 hurricane. According to the National Hurricane Center, it made landfall near Shintahachi in the Big Bend region, about 111 kilometers southeast of Tallahassee, delivering winds of up to 130 kilometers per hour. The Hurricane Center predicted Debbie would move offshore into the Atlantic by tonight, then re-strengthen and come back inland to drench the coast of Georgia and South Carolina later in the week. Forecasters expect numerous Atlantic hurricanes in the 2024 season, which began on 1st June, including 4 to 7 major ones. That would exceed the record-breaking 2005 season that spawned the devastating Katrina and Rita hurricanes. Venezuela's opposition leaders have appealed to the army, the main pillar of support for President Nicolas Maduro, to take the side of the people after his disputed re-election, a call swiftly met with a criminal probe. Prosecutors say they have opened an investigation targeting opposition leader Maria Corina Machado and the presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia for announcing an election winner other than Maduro, instigating disobedience and insurrection. They said the opposition duo outside the constitution and the law falsely announced a winner of the presidential election different from the one announced by the National Electoral Council. While under public pressure to release detail, precinct-level record backing up its assertion that Maduro won, the National Electoral Council said it had presented all records to the Supreme Court for certification as requested by Maduro but not publicly. The opposition insists Gonzalez Urrutia was the rightful victor of the 28 July presidential election. Multiple countries, including the United States, have recognized Gonzalez Urrutia as the winner, while others, such as the European Union, have stopped short of doing so while calling for full publication of voting records. In a related development, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said respect for the sovereignty of the people in Venezuela is what drives regional leaders to demand transparency in the results of the recent elections. The situation in the oil-producing country has been the focus of regional attention after the Electoral Authority declared President Nicolas Maduro the winner. While the opposition says its own detailed count shows opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia likely won 67% of the vote. Lula said he had spoken to Gabriel Boric about joint initiative with his counterparts from Colombia and Mexico regarding the political situation in the South American country. Thousands of people have taken part in protests in Venezuela for and against the outcome of a disputed election. The results sparked widespread accusations of fraud and protests that led to a crackdown by security forces after Maduro's government called the demonstrations part of a United States-led coup attempt. Jubilant crowds took to the streets to celebrate the news of Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's resignation, with some storming the Prime Ministerial Palace, reportedly looting and vandalizing parts of her former residence. Hasina resigned and fled the country after hundreds of people were killed in a crackdown on demonstrations that began as protests against job quotas had swelled into a movement demanding her downfall. Jubilant crowds stormed into the opulent grounds of the presidential residence unopposed, carrying out looted furniture and TVs. The flight into exile ended a 15-year second stint in power for Hasina, who has ruled for 20 of the last 30 years as leader of the political movement inherited from her father, assassinated with most of his family in a 1975 coup. Hasina's son, Sajid Wazid Joy, said that she had left the country for her own safety at the insistence of her family. Earlier, Army Chief General Waqar-uz-Zaman announced Hasina's resignation in a televised address to the nation and said an interim government would be formed. Over in the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has vowed swift criminal sanctions against far-right riots in several cities that have seen widespread damage and nearly 400 arrests. Starmer convened ministers and police chiefs to discuss the unrest that has broken out since last Tuesday following a stabbing spree in which 3 children were killed in Southport, northwest England. Mobs threw bricks and flares, attacked police, burned and looted shops, smashed the windows of cars and homes, and targeted at least 2 hotels housing asylum seekers in a number of cities at the weekend. Starmer said the government will ramp up criminal justice to ensure that sanctions are swift. He said a standing army of specially trained police is ready to be deployed to support local forces should any further riots break out.
In relation to the police, I'm absolutely clear that we will have the officers we need where we need them to deal with this disorder. And that is why the standing army has been set up, specialist officers ready to be deployed to support communities.
The National Police Chiefs Council said at least 378 people had so far been arrested and that others would be brought to justice. Elsewhere, thousands of supporters of Pakistan's jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan held a massive rally in the northwest Pakistani city of Swabi, marking 1 year since his detention. Waving party flags and matching caps, party workers chanted slogans in favour of the jailed ex-Prime Minister and demanded his release. Among other party leaders, Kibir Patunghua, Chief Minister Ali Amin Gandapur also addressed the rally. Han was convicted in 4 cases ahead of a February national election and has been in jail since August last year. All of the sentences against him have since been overturned or suspended. Han, who lost power in a parliamentary vote of no confidence after falling out with the generals, has said the army has been backing what he calls the politically motivated cases against him, which the military has denied. The army, which has ruled Pakistan for more than half its 76-year independent history, plays an oversized role in the politics and governance of the nations of 240 million people. Han's imprisonment has added to political volatility in Pakistan, which has experienced a prolonged economic crisis and last month received a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. A US judge ruled that Google violated antitrust law, spending billions of dollars to create an illegal monopoly and become the world's default search engine, the first big win for federal authorities taking on big tech's market dominance. The ruling paves the way for a second trial to determine potential fixes, possibly including a breakup of Google parent Alphabet, which would change the landscape of the online advertising world that Google has dominated for years. The judge said the search engine giant controls about 90% of the online search market and 95% on smartphones. It added Google had paid $26.3 billion in 2021 alone to ensure that its search engine is the default on smartphones and browsers and to keep its dominant market share. Alphabet said it plans to appeal the judge's ruling. It noted that the decision recognizes that Google offers the best search engine but concludes that the company should not be allowed to make it easily available. The remedy phase could be lengthy, followed by potential appeals to the District of Columbia Circuit and US Supreme Court. The legal wrangling could play out into next year or even 2026. Meanwhile, TikTok will permanently remove a feature in a spin-off app in France and Spain that rewards users for watching and liking videos, bowing to pressure from European regulators. TikTok Lite arrived in France and Spain, the only EU countries where it is available, in April this year. Users aged 18 and over can earn points to exchange for goods such as vouchers or gift cards through the app's reward program. TikTok Lite is a smaller version of the popular TikTok app, taking up less memory in a smartphone and made to perform over slower internet connections. The European Commission said TikTok made commitments to remove the program from the 27-country bloc and not to launch any other program which would circumvent the withdrawal. It is the first major victory for the European Union's landmark Digital Services Act, a sweeping new law that requires digital firms operating in the bloc to effectively police online content to protect users from harm. The Commission kick-started an investigation into the Lite app in April amid concerns over addictive effects, which forced TikTok to temporarily suspend the program. The case is now closed after TikTok, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, made the binding commitments. And that wraps up World Today. In our top story, Zijia storms back to win his first Olympic medal. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. Malaysia Madani, Jiwa Merdeka. I'm SAHIH. Thank you for watching.